I'm going to go ahead and start the program. We're here to talk about the Austinites for Geographic Representation, and basically this is a grassroots electoral coalition made up of 30 or so organizations and many individuals. And they have a website, I guess we'll put that up in a bit, austingeorep.org. And I'm going to go ahead and start with Peck. Peck, could you give us a little background on some of the history of the single-member district and what's going on here in Austin?
Yeah, there's been an effort now dating back into the 70s to try to convert the system we have currently of citywide elections of council members to geographic representation. We've had 6 elections, and in all cases, the voters have turned down the opportunity to change to geographic representation. For 40 years, since 1971, we have elected citywide 7 council members and the mayor. The sad truth is that we've actually had a form of geographic representation for all 40 of those years. What you have is 2 super districts. We have a district made up of 4 zip codes, 01, 03, 31, and 59, where about 51% of all the council members elected in 40 years, and 15 of 17 mayors live. The only problem with that system is that those 4 zip codes represent about 10% of the population. The remaining 90% of the population has had 49% of the city council members in 40 years and 2 mayors elected from their geography. So there's been a myth that we had citywide elections. Everybody got to vote, but 10% of the people got to live next to their council members and their mayors. What we're trying to do with this effort, Austin's for Geographic Representation, is get a system where every 10% of the people actually live next to their city council member. The reason we picked 10 is that 2 federal judges in 2 separate cases in the 70s and 80s said that the system of citywide elections that we had guaranteed minority voters, as Hispanics and African Americans, an opportunity to elect 1 council member. And that was the minimum that was acceptable under federal law, and that was the standard you had to meet. Though that standard was not met for 1 election cycle in which there was no Hispanic, that is still the minimum standard that Austin has to meet under those court decisions. For a long time, you could meet that standard if you had 8 districts, but the African American population has been steadily diminishing in this town for 50 years. And what has happened now is that the African American population is so small that you cannot create a district in which they have an opportunity to elect a council member unless you have 10 districts. And our group, which is made up of a broad coalition of people from all over the city, looked at 8 districts, looked at 6 districts, and looked at 10 districts, and found out you have to use 10 districts to create a district that gives the African Americans an opportunity to elect a council member. And the reason that's significant is that we have to get approval for any change in our election system from the Federal Justice Department under the Voting Rights Act. And we believe the only way to get that approval is to have a 10-district plan. And that's why we are advocating a 10-district plan. And the reason we're not advocating a 10-district plus some citywide districts is we don't see any reason to give West Austin back the privilege of electing an extra council member. If 10% of them want to elect 1, that's fine. We don't see why 10% of them want to elect 2. So that's what we're doing, based on the previous history of the last 40 years and federal court decisions.
Okay. Hey, why don't we go over, this is a strong grassroots campaign, and kind of go over some of the names of the individuals and the organizations that are being represented.
Certainly. First of all, we certainly want to thank you for the opportunity here. It's always good to be able to inform our public about groups like ourselves, because we rely on grassroots support and grassroots communications to get our word out. So with that said, thank you for allowing us to be here. I'm excited because Austinites for Geographic Representation really does represent a very broad-based group of folks. Most recently, as in this Wednesday, we got the endorsement of Austin Neighborhoods Council, which is made up of about 80 different neighborhood representatives and leaders that have come together to form and be a part of the Austinites, be a part of ANC, and of course now they're now elected and voted to be a part of our grassroots coalition. And so among the other organizations that have been involved with us include, of course, the 2 chapters of our LULAC here in town. The NAACP is very much involved with us. We have had the Central Texas Republican Assembly also endorse our work. The Del Valley Community Coalition is also a part of the work that we're doing. El Concilio has joined us. The Great Panthers are also a part of what we're doing. Southwest Key, East Austin's Vota campaign is a part of what we're doing. Travis County Green Party has also joined us, has been with us from the very beginning. The Travis County Republican Party has been with us. The UT Student Government has been with us. So those are some of the groups that have joined our effort. And then from a perspective of names, we're proud to have the likes of the Susana Alamanzas, if you will. She's very much in favor of our 1001 plan that we're talking about. Bill Alshire, many of you may know him. He is our former county judge, served for a long time. He has also endorsed our plan. Chris Bailey has also endorsed it. Roger Baker, a transportation activist and blogger, is part of our coalition. Roger Boguet, vice chair of the Travis County Republican Party, is also part of the growing coalition. Richard Franklin is also a member. Charlie Jackson. So you can see that we've got a lot of impressive, very dedicated community folks that have been with us. Lupe Sosa, who is on the ACC board, of course not representing the ACC board, but herself, and very much involved with our community, is also part of our group. Stacy Suits, who worked with the previous campaigns, has also steadily been with us because he too recognizes the importance of us moving in this direction. So all in all, I would tell you that we've got an impressive growing list of organizations and groups that are coming to the table. And I think that what's important about the work that we're doing and what we are proposing to the public, in addition to the 10-1 plan, is that we're saying that if we're going to draw maps, the maps need to be drawn by a neutral, independent commission instead of having politicians, instead of having consultants be a part of drawing those maps. We're saying that we would like to see a neutral, independent commission named to actually draw these maps that would potentially, or that would represent these 10 districts that we're talking about. So that's one of the other fine points about our work, because without that, I think it'd be very difficult to keep some of the external politics from coming into the work.